Russia continuing shelling areas in Ukraine where it vowed to scale back. But despite the shelling, Ukrainian forces are still achieving local success in some neighborhoods around the capital city of Kyiv. We'll bring in Jim Lechner, who has been in Kyiv for us, reporting live for us. Jim, what is the latest now?
Well, good afternoon. That's correct. We've had a little over 24 hours now of a relatively quiet period, with just a few instances of the air raid warning sirens and a few explosions off in the distance of indirect fire. That's significantly different than the previous 48 hours, which saw continuous exchanges of artillery fire between the Ukrainians and Russians, and then some of the heaviest concentrations of Russian fire that we've seen in the past weeks. We've been out on the ground, though, and confirmed that the Ukrainians have pushed the Russians away from the city. In many cases, 30 to 50 miles is off to the east around Brovary and north of there. And then they've taken some significant positions, such as Irpin along the river, which was previously a defensive line. The Ukrainians now have secured that city and are starting to consolidate that and expand, clearing the Russians away from the river itself. The activity that we heard came just on the heels of the Russian announcement they were going to scale down their attacks. But again, within the military context, it makes complete sense as the Russians were using indirect fire, artillery, and mortars to disrupt the Ukrainians as they achieved these successes and to cover their withdrawal, because we are confirming, at least locally here around Kyiv, the Russians have withdrawn from some positions, and it's clear here again in the local area out in the suburbs around Kyiv that the Ukrainians now have the initiative on the ground. Throughout the rest of the country, the Russians continue their precision attacks on the Ukrainian fuel infrastructure. They've been conducting about an attack every other day using cruise missiles and other precision-guided weapons. And as we've reported, the main effort for the Russians' operations have been out to the east in Kharkiv and along the southern coast, to include the besieged city of Mariupol, where the Ukrainian defenders continue to hold out in the city center. From Mariupol, some encouraging news as the Russian and Ukrainian officials have declared they've opened a evacuation corridor, and the Ukrainians have sent a huge convoy of 45 buses to attempt to get to the 100,000 plus civilians in that city. That operation continues to go on as we speak.
Yeah, and really mixed reports in that area. It's so tough to get to. There's, quite frankly, there aren't many reporters in Mariupol. The city is 90% destroyed in that area. A very dangerous place to be. Jim Lechner, though, there in Kyiv. Jim, thank you and stay safe.
Joining us now is Georgia Congressman Buddy Carter. Congressman, welcome to National Report. If I could get you to react to some breaking news we're just learning here. The Biden administration announcing the release of 1 million additional barrels of oil every day for the next 6 months. This coming from the Strategic Petroleum Reserves in an effort to ease gas prices, something many Americans are facing right now, those higher costs. Is this going to make a difference?
Well, it's going to make a minor difference, but let me tell you, that's not what the reserves are intended for. That's not why they are there. It's not to bring down the price of petroleum in our country. They're there for a specific reason in case we need them in an emergency. But any help that we can get, obviously, with the price of gas right now that's impacting Americans. I mean, you realize inflation is costing families $5,600 a year. I mean, people are missing 2 paychecks every year as a result of inflation. And what's so sad is this could have been avoided and should have been avoided. If it were not for Joe Biden and this administration's war on fossil fuels, war on energy independence, we wouldn't be in this mess right now that we're in. Sure. Is it going to help? It's going to help a little bit, but not enough to make a significant difference.
Well, let me ask a follow-up on that, because when you're tapping into these reserves here, you might see some sort of immediate response. But what's happening? What's being done to refill that need? Is there something that's filling the void, just in case a really tough situation were to happen where you would need to rely on that?
That's exactly the point. That's not what the reserves were intended for. If we needed them, and it really was an emergency where we needed them, then they're not going to be there, because Right now, we're not able to produce the oil that we need to be able to produce. Now, look, the companies are doing all they can do, but because of this war on energy independence, war on fossil fuels that the Biden administration undertook from day one, when they canceled the Keystone XL pipeline, when they're canceling permitting on federal lands, all of those things have added to the situation that we are in right now. It was unnecessary. It could have been prevented.
Yeah, NBC News kind of sent out a question about this for polls about who do you blame the most for inflation. Kind of interesting responses that we noted for our viewers here. 38% blame President Biden and his policies. 28% blame COVID-19 pandemic. 23% blame corporations increasing prices. But really only 6% blame Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And as we've noted, Congressman, the price of gas was increasing prior to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So there's just kind of some perspective there from the American public. And that's much different than what we've heard from the White House. Why do you think there's such a disconnect?
Well, they're just trying to pass blame and to divert blame. The responsibility lies with this administration. The poor policies that this administration has implemented have resulted in the situation that we see now. It goes to prove to you that elections have consequences, that policies have consequences. We are suffering the consequences of the policy of this administration right now. We're suffering the consequences of the last election with this president in office.
Well, there's another policy that's about to be changed under this administration. That has to do with Title 42. It also deals with our southern border. I know you wrote an op-ed on this, saying Congress must come together and act on fentanyl. You're, of course, tying that back to the fentanyl that we've seen come across the southern border here. Tell me about the significance behind lifting Title 42 and how might this impact the surge of migrants crossing?
Well, lifting Title 42 is going to do just the opposite of what we need to be doing. It's going to allow more people to come across, more illegal drugs to come across. Look, we have got an epidemic in this country right now with fentanyl. Over 100,000 people died last year as a result of overdoses, much of it attributed to fentanyl. There's enough fentanyl coming across that border now, enough fentanyl in this country to kill every American over 8 times. That is just ridiculous. We have got to stop that. Everybody thinks about the southern border and they think about the 2 million people that have come across that border illegally, and they should think about that. However, it's much more than that. It's the fentanyl that is infesting our communities. I've seen it firsthand as a practicing pharmacist for over 30 years. I witnessed it. And let me tell you, the first time you go to a funeral of a young person as a result of a fentanyl overdose, it will change your perspective of this, and it'll change it quickly.
Yeah, a drug crisis, a humanitarian crisis, child trafficking as well. There are a number of issues that are tied to what's playing out at our southern border as we speak. Congressman Buddy Carter, thank you, sir, for taking the time today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.